up? What are you nerdigans? This is the one and only Packer Girl 89, and today's book nerdigan discussion is part 2 of Wings of the Wicked by Courtney Moulton. If you have not read A Dance with Darkness, Angel Fire, Wings of the Wicked, or have watched any of my book nerdigan discussion videos on them, then why the commie are you here? Seriously, go read the books and come back so we can talk about it. And in the description below, I will have a link for part 1. So if you have not watched part 1, which I totally recommend you doing, you're not going to know what the commie and Arceus I'm talking about here. So, and as you can see, I have the cover mini Popo. It looks fabulous. And in case you guys don't remember, that this is part of the hashtag AngelReadAthon. So, yeah. Thank you, Mini Popo, for showing that. So where we left off was where Nathaniel and Ellie were having the discussion about Michael possibly executing Will if anything happens. But what he said, and I really liked what Nate said here. He said, I didn't when he and I had our discussion about you two, because Ellie assumed that he told her to go, Nate told Will to go with it. But anyway, I told him that Michael would come for him. I also told him that I wanted him and you to be happy, and that when it comes to love, rules are made to be broken. I told Will he needed to make a choice, and he chose loving you. And then he said, he says right after that, acting on love is forbidden with the divine. Angelic reapers are descended from fallen angels. Fallen angels, the Gregory, and because of that, they are no better than worms in the eyes of many angels, especially some archangels. After you had forgotten that you were Gabriel, you married human men in your past lives and had children. But even I know most angels believe the offspring of the fallen Gregory to be the vilest of vile. No matter that we aren't demonic, we're unnatural to them, unnatural but useful. And I like it that we got that confirmation, because, you know, we probably always wondered as the reader, I know I did, if Ellie had descendants from her past lives, and this is our confirmation on that. And their descendants still live. This is what Nate says too. You haven't had a child in at least 300 years. I don't keep track of them as well as I used to, but there's one bloodline in America that I know of, and that is very important to remember, especially in the next book. The mortal scions, your children and their descendants, have always possessed some sort of power that manifests in different forms. They are stronger than any psychic, and much of what they can do resembles a bit of your own abilities, though much more diluted, of course. No angel fire. A handful of angelic reapers have been selected to watch the scions in case they become dangerous. Anything with great power is potentially dangerous. And I'm curious to know if any of the scions had to be killed by the angelic reapers that are watching over them. And this is also important what Nate says right here too. He says, I have to run to the library to check up on a few leads. I may have figured out where my copy of the grimoire is. One of your more active scions is quite the collector of divine artifacts. If I can get it back, we can look into restoring you to your archangel form. And like after Nate goes back to the library, Ellie hears Will's song for Ellie, and I was like, oh, that was so sweet. And then the moment gets ruined because of that fucker Meridosh and Kalano coming back in. And I love the line he uses, and I could just only imagine how it really sounded when he said, "Pretty later, come out and play, yay!" And behind him, Kalana was there, trailed by 5 more Reapers, and they found him. And seriously, I have to ask this, because I've noticed this in almost every book with an action scene. Why do they always go for the neck? Why? Why is it always the neck? Or the throat, basically. And a hand locked around, this is what I mean, a hand locked around my throat and threw me across the living room. My body smashed into the stone fireplace, collapsing the mantle, and rubble rained down on me as I hit the floor. Kalana was above me suddenly, grabbing a fistful of my hair and yanking me to my feet. And it's time for her to come with them. And she called for, because Will was there, and Rican was ordered to disable, who's one of the other demonic leader, was to disable the guardian. And I'm thinking, where the fuck is Nate? Where the commie narcissist Nate? Like, come on, Nate. And seriously, Ellie, you need to learn how to dodge. Like, that is one thing I've noticed in these books, is that the main character can't fucking dodge, even after all the training. And then here's Nathaniel. Then Nathaniel stopped, and the hole he created revealed a set of various weapons hidden in the wall. He reached his arm into the wall and pulled out a dark metal object, a mace. And the weapon looked old and heavy, and the shaft was long and wrapped in God, that sounded phrasing, wrapped in leather. The round head of the mace was made of silver, and deadly-looking spikes stuck out in every direction, and reminding me, or this is what she says, reminding me of Recon's skull. And Lauren is still in the house, and Nate's like, get the fuck out of here, Lauren, just drive, don't stop until you run out of gas, Lauren, just go. And he says, I love you, and this is his final words to her, because he gets killed. And I'm just like, oh, Nate, Nate. And this was, I thought, was really interesting. When Ellie's necklace came off, the temperature, she describes this situation as the temperature felt like it dropped another several degrees, and I shivered. So, yeah, the winged necklace provided warmth, but that necklace is really important, and you'll see why in the next book. And seriously, as I mentioned, why didn't the fuck did you dodge, Nate? And this is how we hear Nate dying, basically. I heard a gargled anguish cry behind me, and I spun. Nathan was double over. Meridosh, soaked with his own blood, had his fist buried in Nathaniel's chest. Something glinted in the moonlight, and I blinked. Meridosh's sword stuck out of Nathaniel's back, stabbed right through his heart. And for a moment I couldn't scream for him, couldn't look away. Nathaniel sputtered and trembled, his skin brightened and shimmered, slowly turning into stone. I was like, no, Nate! The last thing I saw was the back of Kalana's hand slapping into my face, and the memory of Nathaniel turning to stone in my arms, and Will taking Meridosh's blade to his chest was too much. I cried and thrashed and screamed, cursing the demonic reapers and swearing to tear them apart piece by piece. Then I swallowed hard and forced my tears to cease. I had to be brave. I had to escape and get back to Will if he was still alive. If he was dead, I'd have known. I'd have felt it in my soul. Now I had to get myself out of this, because no one was coming for me, because they succeeded. They captured her. They captured Ellie. And they stabbed Will in the freaking chest. But luckily, thank God, Will is dead. Will is dead. So now we get to the scene where we see Lilith, and Ellie is chained with another. There's another girl that's chained in there too, and the scene is so freaky. So the phantom Lilith reached for me, because Lilith is still in her phantom form. Gripping my chin, I jerked my face to side, but I could only move so far from her reach. The binding pentagram around me seemed to have no effect on her. I barely even noticed that Emma had begun screaming beside me before Kalana struck her and silenced her in an instant. Emma's the girl. And I guess what this goes to show you is that pentagrams will bind an angel, but they won't bind a fallen angel, which I thought was interesting. And Lola studied my face with curious disgust. You're not so shiny in this form, Gabriel. I can look upon you without my eyes bleeding. I'd say it's an improvement, but the human stink all over you makes me want to retch. I have to say that I'm a little pained. We're practically sisters, you and I. Your father created me just as he created you, though I didn't last long in his favor. He made me to be man's property and punished me when I didn't obey. The Morning Star gladly took me in and made me like the rest of your kind. In order to be free, I had to go to hell. There's something very wrong with that. There is something very wrong with her having to go to hell to be free. It's crazy weird. The Lord of Souls is a fallen angel, death himself. He's the Morning Star second and my beloved, Samuel. Yes, bitches, Samuel is back. We saw him in the Embrace series. He's back in this fucking series. So yes, Samuel is back. But I want to point this out too, that if you read the Embrace series, you notice the difference between the relationship with Lilith and Samuel in the Embrace series and the relationship with Lilith and Samuel in this series. Like, Lilith and Samuel are in love in this series. In the Embrace series, they had like a love-hate thing going on. the memories clawed at my heart and mind, dragging themselves to the surface. Azrael, the archangel of death, since the beginning of time, had indeed cast out Samuel, the lesser angel of death. Samuel and the queen of hell had become lovers, and Azrael took it upon himself to implement justice despite my warnings to him. He and Samuel battled fiercely, but Samuel was no match for the archangel Azrael. When Samuel was defeated, he fell and joined Lilith at the morning star's side, where he became as powerful as an archangel. We felt his loss greatly, but he turned his back on us for the dark power of hell. And and again, this is another big difference, because in the Embrace series, if you haven't read it, I'm spoiling it for you. In the Embrace series, it was Michael that sent him to hell, or sent him, Samuel fought Michael, not Azrael. So, yeah. Didn't you know why, and Lilith asked her, didn't you know why Azrael was cast from the inner circle? When my children, the ancestors of the modern demonic reapers, continued my legacy on Earth, Azrael took it personally. When he battled Samuel for the second time, they nearly caused the apocalypse, but Azrael defeated Samuel once more and used ancient magic to imprison him. For punishing Samuel so greatly, God stripped Azrael of his archangel power. He became an outcast, weakened but not quite fallen from grace, and I have waited a very, very long time to see my beloved again. And it's just interesting to see that, because you would think that God would be grateful for what Azrael did, because Azrael was just trying to stop Samuel from causing an apocalypse, but God punished him, and I thought that was a really fucked up thing, to be quite honest. And also, then the list says, I don't want to let Samuel destroy you. Perhaps I should let the morning star pick you apart and see how they made you. He'd love to get his claws on you, Gabriel, and I'd personally love to see your insides, but you are too dangerous to be allowed to exist. And then Kalano skimmed over the pages in the book as Bastian collected the clay bowl and silver dagger, and the dagger is the blade of Belial, by the way. And if you read A Dance with Darkness, you know what I'm talking about as well. And also, Belial, I told you Belial was coming back, and we have another series with Belial, which I hopefully will get to next month, because Wendy Higgins is releasing another book for the series, and I want to make sure I have that book before I start rereading it. Let's see. Meredov, stark and silent, stood by the wall as he observed the activity. Bastian stepped up to me and raised the dagger. With him standing close to me, I could feel the power in the dagger humming. It was a relic bound to one of the fallen, a demonic relic. So the blade of Belial, the demonic relics, you could feel the evil. And it's curious to, I think it's explained later on, you can feel the power humming from angelic relics as well. But I kind of want to see more demonic relics too, because we only mainly get to see in the series, and I'm just going to say that right now, is angelic relics, and I want to see the other side of it as well. And she has to take, so for the ritual to take place, similar to the Lilith ritual in the Embrace series, blood is obviously needed, but you don't have to think the differences between this ritual versus the Embrace ritual is that you don't have to kill a bunch of exiles, or in this case demonic reapers, for this to work. And then you also need the necklace as well. Bastian set the necklace carefully into the bowl of blood, completely submerging it. Kaleno began to chant something in an ancient language, reading from the book, which is probably the Anashian. Lilith was whole. Her body was no longer a phantom. I'm curious if it's Anashian or not, because I know Anashian is the language of the heavens, but I don't know if it also applies for hell as well, and I'm curious about that. Where is it? Lilith was whole. Her body was no longer a phantom. She was as solid and real as I was. The Constantina necklace had become a glossy black. So she took the dagger from his hand and cut it deep into her own arm, into precisely the same spot as Bastian had cut me, and he held the bowl of my blood up and let Lilith's own blood pour into it. Power leaked from the mixture of our blood, creeping across the floor like rolling fog, sending every hair on my body standing on end. Blood of an angel, Lilith murmured. She exchanged the dagger for the bowl with Bastian. Blood of demon. Continue the ritual. And without questioning, Kaleno began chanting again, a new different spell, different from the one that had given Lilith solid form. The demon queen stood in front of the sarcophagus and tipped the bowl over a small notch in the center of the lid, letting the blood pour. It followed grooves in the stone, up, down, left, and right, swirling, filling in the Anashian spell, imprisoning Samuel, and the blood filled with Anashian carvings entirely, and something heaved and hissed with the sarcophagus, as if a safe had been unlocked. I could not look away. Lilith's high and smooth voice shot through my skull with like a bullet. Remove the lid. And what Bastian says is, we aren't destroying the world to just destroy it. We're going to rebuild. And out of the sarcophagus came, they were reapers of a rare breed, the Leonine, which I hadn't seen for in thousands of years. And as Samuel stepped completely free from the sarcophagus, he looked around with a bored expression on his sharp features. His skin was corpse gray, not white or blue, but the gray of decay. And this is completely different from what we saw in the Embrace series with that version of Samuel. And I'm curious because we didn't see it with Samuel. I don't believe we saw his wings in Empowered. I don't believe we did. So I'm kind of curious what you guys think about Samuel's appearance as well. Spread from his black were the charred skeletal remains of what are once magnificent wings, the unmistakable wings of the wicked fallen. Fleshless bone burned in black, blackened from when he fell. So basically what they're saying is that, and it would explain why with some of the fallen angels, if they had like leather wings or different kinds of wings, because their feathers burned off when they fell. And it kind of reminds me of Belial in Pembroke and the Days, where you had his wings his demon wings were like giant bat wings with scythes, the reason for his we saw that in the End of Days, actually, how he got his demon wings was because of the trials he went through in hell with the demon lords. So it's a little bit different, but I thought you guys would like that little taste. They spread wide, the dry joints clinking and grinding. And I want to know this too, because we don't see any more of the, I'm going to tell you right now, we're not going to see any more fallen angels in this series. And I'm just curious if I wanted to, and I'm going to explain it in the last book Nerdigan discussion. And I'm curious what you guys think, if all fallen, like the fallen angels, not Gregory, I'm talking about fallen, have the same type of wings as Samuel. I'm just curious. I felt Gabriel seeping, I felt Gabriel seeping through the cracks of my amnesia. When I had seen Samuel last, he had been beautiful, radiant, his grace bright and hue. This monster resembled nothing of my glorious brother. His lips curved in a smile. He says, and then Samuel says, you will be nothing when I'm finished with you. The morning star and I will tear heaven and earth apart. After I have destroyed the human soul infesting you, Gabriel, this world will burn until blood and ash rain from the sky. And then we stared at each other as memories of the first four floods through us. The fire and blood, wing-torn bodies falling from with the ash, hitting the scorched earth. Metal stained red as brothers and sisters ripped at one another. No words in any mortal language could describe the violence between angels, creatures who felt no emotion, and the fluid ease of killing without remorse, sorrow, or fear. I was there. I remembered. The orders were to destroy the rebels. Nothing I did on earth fighting the demonic reapers could be compared to the horrors I had seen and done defending heaven against Lucifer, the morning star, so very long ago. And Samuel says, we have grown strong and our army is vast, but that is only the beginning. Soon I will have the power to tear every single human soul on earth from its vessel and send them all to hell to join the countless souls the reapers have already collected. In my head, I see them now. You can't even imagine how many there are, souls screaming in agony, tormented, until all they understand is violence and rage. When we unleash them upon the earth, it will be magnificent. I will turn our Father's creations against him, and all that he loves will be destroyed. It is the ultimate revenge. The end of days everyone had spoken of this. This was it. opening up the gates to hell and releasing every last tortured soul into the human world. They would tear it apart, and then the fallen would tear a hole into heaven. And we kind of saw that happening with in the Embrace series with Samuel, if you guys remember that. And this is probably what would have happened in Pemron in the End of Days as well, if you think about that too. So Samuel spread his arms wide, opening to his palm to the skies in his obsidian armor clicking. It's time to start over. Light the fires and burn it all, and from the ashes of heaven and earth, a new era will rise. And I love this freaking writing. That's why I'm giving you a lot of the quotes directly from it, because the thing is with Courtney Moulton is that she describes everything so nicely. So, I love when authors do that. And Jessica Shervington is another one that does it. And as you guys could tell, Samuel spread his arms wide, opening his palms to the sky. The scale in his obsidian armor. Oh, I already said that. Oh, now we get to the scythe, which we've seen before in the when I was doing the mythology-based fiction. We saw something similar with one of the gods as well in the Gods and Monsters series. A scythe, here we go. The weapon was enormous. The long helve was as big around as my forearm and decorated with bits of bone, hair, and fur, and human and animal teeth. A human skull was mounted at the top of the gigantic curved blade, which was embedded with the desolate eyes of the soulless damned. The eyes all blinked and stared at the whimpering girl before Samuel. And that's Emma, by the way. Then the scythe from the tip of the blade to the bottom of the staff, a staff lit up with fire. Flames danced black and blue, obsidian and midnight. Demon fire. Yeah, we got our demon fire now. Before I could say or do anything, Samuel, and this is how the scythe works, and that's why he's known as like the ultimate soul reaper. So here we go. Before I could say or do anything, Samuel slashed the scythe right through Emma's body like butter, and I let out a sickening shriek as Emma began screaming and writhing in ear-splitting agony, her eyes rolling into the back of her head. My soul twisted, and I wanted to throw up, but I couldn't. But couldn't. I could only keep staring, but there was no blood, no wound, as if the blade had gone through like she was a ghost. And then Samuel, I lifted the scythe, and something clung between it and Emma's body, something silvery and viscous. I'm sorry. I saw Emma slacken. Stop it, computer. I saw Emma slacken, and I thought her pain was over. A spring of hope went through me until I realized what the silvery blue thing was, clinging desperately to her body, her soul. So this is what's happened. This is how the process is working, and it's freaking scary. A face formed in the struggling caught between Samuel's soul scythe and the girl's body. A face that belonged to Emma, a perfect imprint of her pretty hair and face frozen in terror, was cast in the soul's form like ghostly clay, and limp arms and legs began to grow. But threads reached for Emma's body, and trying to free itself from the blade it was caught on. And it kind of, if you've read the manga Bleach or have watched Bleach, this is exactly what it reminds me of, because there was an episode of Bleach, or a manga chapter in an episode of Bleach, where in the very beginning, where we saw like Orihime's soul chained to her, and it with the hole where the chains expanded, they became a hollow. That's what this kind of reminds me of a little bit. And I'm curious if that would happen. Samuel grabbed Emma's soul around the throat and lifted it, parting his deathly blue lips, and with a deep breath, he sucked Emma's soul into his mouth like a vacuum until there was no more silvery shimmer left. And I sobbed hysterically, and Emma fell to the floor in a crumpled dead heap. And that was just so freaking intense. That was probably one of the most intense scenes in this book, is seeing a soul reap. Maybe one of the most intense things in this whole #AngelReadAthon, besides maybe the battle with Samuel in heaven. But I am curious what you guys think about that. And then Will fucking arrives right on time, right in the nick of time. And I saw Samuel's hand reaching for Will and felt the push of his seemingly infinite strength, which is scary. My horror thickened, making my heart pound harder as I realized Samuel was using his power to manipulate Will's body, something no Reaper or even I could do, something I didn't know how to defend against. And a second subtle movement of Samuel's claw hand and dragged Will's arm through the air and slammed him to the ground. And Samuel says this one, according to Will, he's not human, he's a Reaper born of the Gregory. I have no use for a soul. So that makes me question something here, and I don't know if you guys caught that as well. they said that they have no souls, or that's what Will and Nate said. They had that Reapers have no souls, but this confirms right here. The statement from Samuel confirms that he has a soul. That Reapers do have souls, and I'm curious. Like, we don't ever know where they go, but after they die. But I'm curious where it would, if they would end up in the, if they would end up in hell or heaven, or do the Reapers have their own thing? I'm curious if they get like a fresh slate or anything like that. I'm curious what you guys think about that. And then Bastian, sorry, I gotta just do this real quick. I didn't realize I had that going. But anyway, Bastian just told Will he was his father. And yeah, and oh my, call me an Arceus. It was like a total Star Wars moment here. And Bastian says, "I'm not lying. And also that Madeline is alive too, and she's alive. She's a relic guardian, William, like you. She had to give up everything for her mission, just as you did. She would be proud of you as I am of your power. Those of my line are abnormally powerful because each of us is very ancient, and our blood is among the purest of our race, the closest to the divine source we were bred from. There are not many of us. You should be grateful." And it explains, and Will's like in fucking shock, but Will still frees Ellie and kills Kaleno, and I was like thinking, take that, motherfucker! That's what you get for fucking with us, or for fucking with Will. And I love what, and then we see Azrael. So here we go. So appearing in a shine, this is after they escape, I think. No, this is still in the building. I'm sorry. So, appearing in a shine of glory and chained to his waist was a massive weathered look, and his hand he held a long, elegant staff with a beautiful curved jeweled blade forged to one end. The other side of me, Gabriel, knew him. It was Azrael, the holy angel of death, the destroyer. Yes, Azrael makes an appearance, and I love that we have an appearance from Azrael. He nodded to me and smiled. "Gabriel, I can only stay for a few moments, but I will hold them off. This battle is not to your advantage. For now, my sister, you must run." And he tells Will to get her far away from here. And Marcus just gets there too. Just in time, let's get the hell out of here. And we sprang apart only to find that Bastian caught up to us, and Will tore away from me with a cry of anger and his sword filling his hand. "Seriously, curse you, Bastian. You ruined the moment, Bastian, you bastard." And Bastian raised his palms, his expression soft. "I'm not here to fight, I know, my son. But the part of you that is demonic yearns for this. You are going against your very nature, against your own kind. Deny it all you want, but I will only offer one more time. Join me and I will spare your life. Hers, though, I cannot. She can undo everything we worked hard for." And then fucking Caden appears. Thank Kami. And Caden says, "I can't let you do this. This has to stop. And if I'm the one to do it, then so be it." And what Bastian says here is the humans are already destroying this world. They are weak, flighty creatures. They don't deserve to rule this world. They don't deserve to spread their plague to heaven. No, not if we can't have it. But Bastian, did you just not hear what? So based on what Bastian says, it kind of confirms that the angelic reapers will go to heaven and the demonic reapers go to hell. So that's what I'm getting from that. And Bastian is jealous because he can't go up to heaven. He can't be in heaven at all. Humans are inherently good. I think this is what Ellie says. Humans are inherently good. You and I... Oh, this is Caden. I'm sorry. Caden is saying this. Humans are inherently good. You and I, we don't belong here anywhere. We weren't meant to be, and the humans, not us, were meant to go to heaven. You can't destroy 7 billion souls because you envy them. So now it's getting, I think it's maybe because Caden doesn't know that that angelic reapers get into heaven as well. I don't know. It confuses me, and I'd love to get more confirmation on that. I want to know what your guys' theories are. Your Nergan theories. What is your theory on the Soul Reaper going to heaven, the angelic reapers going to heaven and the demonic reapers going to hell? Do you think that's right, or do you think there's another thing to it? Caden And then Bastian's like, how dare you? How dare you accuse me of feeling something so vile? And Caden swallowed hard, because that is all you are, vile. You deserve heaven even less than that beast you brought back from the bowels of the earth. You only want to destroy everything because you envy the humans, their souls, and because you're terrified of death. You can't have heaven, and neither can I. None of us can. You want revenge you were never entitled to. This is not right. Annihilating the human and angel races is not right. I can't allow you to continue. My allegiance is no longer to you. I will defend the prelator at any cost, and even if it takes my life, and even if it forces me to destroy you. And then Bastian stabbed Caden in the fucking gut because they started fighting. But before I get to that, I'm kind of curious if you guys think that Nerdigans think that Bastian is kind of behaving like Lucifer is, if you think about it, because Lucifer wanted to be loved by God, and he was jealous of the humans, and Bastian is having that same feeling, and I think that's interesting. Rage and pain bled over Caden's face as he tried to rise, gasping in agony, his eyes driving to Bastian's. For you, in a flash, Caden slammed his sword into Bastian's chest straight through his heart. And I'm curious what you guys think about because we never got an idea of who she was. I kind of want to know who Bastian's mother was, and I don't think Caden knows either. And yet Meridosh and Kalano, well, Kalano's dead now. Meridosh was never loyal to Bastian, just as we all predicted he wouldn't. And I love that we get the cuddling and kiss with Will after they get back, and she asks, she's like, why are we letting him get stronger? We should take him out while he's weak. And Will, because remember, Azrael held him back. And Will says, because we can't beat him. I'm just a Reaper, and you have a breakable human body. We will never be able to beat him or Lilith. He is one of the fallen in the right hand of Lucifer. There's no way anything besides an archangel could obliterate him. We need Azrael. We need the destroyer. But Azrael is an outcast. He's not an archangel anymore, and he defeated Samuel twice already. He can do it again. And then this is what Will on Michael. Michael can't engage until there's an outright war. It's not his job. That's why Azrael was punished in the first place. Absolute obedience, or you are cast out, killed, or forced to fall. And I'm curious if Azrael actually went to God and explained what was happening. I'd love to get more of a backstory on that. So then how do we summon Azrael and give him solid form so he can help us? Well, we need to find the correct relic and spell. And if they can do it for Lilith, then we can do the same for Azrael. And, well, how are we going to know which one's the right one? The spell will be different to give corporeal form to an angel, but that information will be in the grimoire, and that's the book that Samuel has. Yeah, Samuel has the grimoire. And I'm curious how the grimoire ended up getting into Samuel's possession when there's only one copy that Nathaniel made, and Madeline burned the original copy. So I'm curious how this other copy of the grimoire was made. How he got that copy of the grimoire, and that bothers me. Courtney, please, if you're watching this, please tell me how Samuel got the grimoire, because I'm curious how they got the grimoire when the grimoire was destroyed by Madeline in A Dance with Darkness. I love it. Ellie's like, life just keeps getting easier and easier. If we can't get Azrael to fight Samuel, then we need an archangel, and that has to be her. And Will does not want to do that because our last resort would be figuring out a way for you to ascend to become Gabriel again. I don't know if that's possible, but we've got to find a way to make it happen if worse comes to worse. I don't know if the transformation would destroy you or what would happen to you, to your soul, if you were killed as Gabriel. You might not come back as a human again, or even at all. And if I do this, Ellie says, if I become Gabriel, I refuse to forget you. I may become an archangel, but I will still have my human soul. And Will says this thing, si vis pacem para bellum, and if you want to prepare for war, if we wanted to win and to be safe, we had to be strong and fight this evil and threaten to tear us apart and steal everything we loved. I never thought and Lauren said, because Lauren on Nate, which is really sad, Lauren says, I never thought I'd outlive him. That wasn't the way we were supposed to end. I knew the things he and Will did were dangerous and would kill him eventually, but it's okay. I'm really going to miss him and his stupid jokes. Poor Nate. And Will is like on a mission, and because of all the shit, because of Nate being killed and the house being destroyed, Will's on a mission to fix that house. And I think that's really, like, I think that's the only way he can deal with it, because Nate was like his older brother. And then we get back to Nana's house, and Nana says something shocking. She says, I know you're the prelator. I'm a psychic, Ellie. I have always seen the Reapers, but I had no idea my granddaughter would ever be Gabriel's vessel. I didn't believe Frank when he told me until he showed me an old photograph of the two of you and your guardian. There aren't many of us, and most of us know one another. I kept in contact with him for many years, and when he told me that you were the prelator, I had a hard time believing him. And then these rumors began flying around about you actually being Gabriel. And this is why Nana said anything, because I would be so pissed if I had someone in my life that knew what was happening and didn't tell me. But this is why Nana said she never said anything. Frank told me it was best not to interfere. He promised that your guardian would care for you, but I knew how hard it was for you, and I regret staying out of it all. And now the Reapers have killed Frank, and they've killed my daughter and son-in-law. It's my punishment, I suppose. And you were never alone. We've all looked out for you. Frank was killed hunting a Reaper that had tracked you to your home. He died trying to keep it from telling its masters where you lived, where your family lived. Not that it matters now. Bastian always knew where you lived, and he had your father killed so that Beast could take his place and spy on you. We know that now, but you aren't alone. Your guardian protects you, and I know about Will. I'm sorry you had to lie to your mother about him. She would have liked him more if she known what he truly was to you, and you did what you had to do. And I know where you've been, and because throughout this time, Ellie hasn't been back to her Nana's house, and she's been living with her Nana ever since her parents died. I know where you've been. Lauren let me know that you were safe. I knew you were safer with the angelic Reapers than here with me. I'm just an old woman. I would only have gotten in your way. I know. When I found out it was impossible for me to believe that this little fire-haired girl was the Archangel Gabriel. I felt so much for you. Your nightmares, your slipping grades, the sneaking out. I don't know what I would have done if I'd been you. I should have been there for you, but I was terrified of messing up your cycle. And then Marcus comes, we get to Marcus finding out how Marcus got his scars, and he said demon fire from the blade of one of the fallen. And who? It was motherfucking Belial. Yeah, he got his scars from the blade of Belial, basically. He said a long time ago he was summoned by humans messing with angelic magic they had no business messing with. They wanted to fight on their side, in a war between men. They called it the Second World War. Thankfully, the spell was short-lived, and Belial was sent back to hell before he did too much damage. He killed 3 of my friends in the process and split me wide open from here. He pointed to the right side of his rib cage and drew a line up to his to here. So his demon fire scarred me, but he survived. And then what he says is believe Will when he says he doesn't want you to fight Samuel and Lilith until he knows you can beat them. Belial was hell on 2 legs, Ellie. I wouldn't be here right now if that spell hadn't sucked that monster back to where he came from. Be patient. Grow as strong as you can. Be as prepared as you can. Michael and the other angels don't care what happens down here unless heaven is compromised. If your soul is destroyed, then earth will be at Lucifer's mercy. And I think it's sweet that because Marcus and Kate are still together, and Marcus brings her cupcakes every day, and it's like, aw, and it makes me want cupcakes. And so this is for Will's birthday. She went to go get a cake, a sheet cake, and she got icing tubes to scribble all over Will's birthday cake. But once I got to decorating it, I decided I didn't want to make some boring cake. I wanted to create something that would make him laugh. Lauren sat across from me at the kitchen table as I kind of drew snarling stick reapers with angry eyes and sharp gaping mouths on their bubble heads with an outspread wings, all surrounding a figure in the middle who was supposed to be Will. I stopped in the middle of the icing drawing and frowned disapprovingly. The stick Will didn't look much like the real Will, so I dabbed a pair of green eyes and outlined him a pair of wings and a painted sword in his hand that wasn't his, was quite as fancy as the real thing. Then I took the red icing and splattered the whole the whole cake until it was a freaking massacre of frosting stick reapers. I even smeared red on the sword and wrote "Happy Birthday, Will" across the top of the dripping red icing. Nana glared at me and cleared her throat noticeably as she passed the table, and Lauren looked at her apologetically. Regular cakes are no fun. This was awesome. And yeah, they had a surprise birthday party for Will at her grandma's place. I thought it was cute. And at 7, Nana left to go play poker with her girlfriends, or should I say she went to go destroy her girlfriends at poker since she was psychic. It was sort of cheating. And yes, Will ended up laughing at the cake, so I was like, yay, mission accomplished. And then she said to Will after she kissed his cheek, "Happy birthday, old man. I did put all the candles on your cake because it ended up being a bonfire in my Nana's kitchen. And I know you don't like cake, but I like cake, and I'm pretty sure Lauren does too." And Marcus is like, "I like cake." And Ava frowned at the sugary mountain of stick reaper murder. I did not. And then Ellie's like, "Well, I huffed and poked Will's chest. You and Ava can go pat in the corner and be losers together." I started laughing. I was like, oh. So when Caden paid a visit at school the next day, he said, "I heard something before my father died about something he was very afraid of, something he didn't want you to find. The Hallow Glaive. It sounds very important. The Hallow Glaive. And it was the weapon that can destroy Samuel and even Lilith, and that's what she's going to need to look into. It could be a relic. Maybe. We don't know it yet. Information on something like this would be in the grimoire, but Samuel still has it, and there's no way I would be able to infiltrate and get it back. They know me as a traitor now, and I'm just very surprised. No wonder we never liked each other. This is on Will finding out about Will being his brother. Innate brotherly rivalry, I suppose, besides loving the same girl. Anyway, Will has every right to hate me." And he said, "I did nothing," he said again. Gear and I were the ones who captured Will and took him to Bastion. The night Ragnarok killed you, and this is why Will hates Caden in the first place. The night Ragnarok killed you and took you to where Bastion held Will, I was there, and I did nothing. I just let it happen." And this is what Ellie says on Caden being in love. He tells her the harsh truth about it's an effect that the divine have over all reapers. It's not real. It's an infatuation. And that sounded so harsh, but it was true. And at least unlike most demonic reapers, Caden's attraction was romantic instead of violent. And his face softened, and the anger that had just traced his brow melted from his gentle gaze. "I'm glad I still feel what I feel, whatever it means. It feels good. I can't regret that. No matter what you choose, I'll defend you against anything. I can't be your guardian, but I'll protect you like one." And then someone shouted, "Get a room!" The words followed by a chorus of laughter. Mortified, I covered my face and my hands and didn't turn around. And I love Kate. And Caden's like, "I like the way he thinks." and Caden also asked what heaven is like. Or Marcus asked him. Marcus asked me something strange a while ago. Ellie said, "What was that?" He asked me what heaven is like. I said, "I have no idea. But I don't remember what heaven is like, but I remember missing being human. I missed feeling anything, feeling happiness, sadness. I missed touching, being close to others. I missed you, Will. I don't want to go back there to heaven. I want to stay here." I gave in and climbed out of my little nest to turn off the TV and force myself downstairs to the front door. And this is for prom, because she thought she wasn't going to go to prom. And then when I opened the door, my heart kicked in my chest. Will stood there in the doorway, dressed in a sleek tuxedo, corsage, and a plastic container in one hand and a long garment bag in the other. And his tuxedo was perfectly tailored around his broad shoulders and his waist. His hair was neatly combed back, and it looked like he might have even have had a haircut. He looked excruciatingly handsome and adorable, all dressed up with a terrified look on his face. Parked behind him in the driveway was Marcus's shiny black Maserati. And it was my idea, so don't yell at Kate, but she helped me a lot. She got 2 tickets for you weeks ago because she knew you still wanted to go, even though you told her you didn't. She helped me pick out a dress for the day before yesterday, and she made sure I wore something that fit me. Honestly, she scares me a little. I tried so hard to do this right for you, so please forgive me if I did anything wrong. Oh, it's so cute! That is such a sweet thing. Oh, my coffee and Arceus, I love that. And she says, "You didn't do anything wrong." And then Will says, "Will you go then? Will you come with me? Please say yes." And then the tears came. I was crying happy tears too. They were hot against my cheeks, making my eyes burn, and I had to cover my mouth as I cried. He gave me a worried look as I fell apart in front of him, and I put put down my hands and nodded, smiling at him from ear to ear. Yes, I'll go. And oh, the feels are real. And I know how much you love Jasmine. He got a Jasmine corsage. Oh. Let's see. And then he said, because she was trying to figure out what to do with her hair, and she says, leave it down just the way it is. I like it when it's down. And he reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded what was the beautiful Phoenix hair comb. I nearly choked on another sob. Wear this in it. Oh! And then Will dances with Ellie to a waltz at the prom, which I thought was sweet. And then outside of Kate's after party, Will says he's going to kick Kate's ass because he tried to kiss Ellie. And then fucking Meridosh came in his horn-winged form. Yeah, Kaden came and tried to kiss Ellie. In the moonlight. His dark skin gleaming and sporting the angel fire scar I gave him. Behind him was a spike-headed Rickon. His mouth dribbled thick saliva down his chin, and Will threw a protective arm over me and stepped forward. How had they found me? I didn't want to fight. I wanted the demonic reapers to go away. This night had been too perfect, too incredible, too good to be true. This couldn't be happening. I didn't want to fight tonight. I just wanted to be with Will. For one night of peace and happiness. That was all I wanted, and I couldn't have anything I wanted, and hell had to ruin everything. And then Meridosh is like, the war is nigh, Prelata, and the storm is down. The storm is coming. And because they freaking, Rickon poisoned Will. Yes, Rickon poisoned Will. And he says, I'll come back, and then Meridosh added, I'll come back for you, Gabriel. Once your heart is dead from the loss of your guardian, I'll be back for your soul. And Will groaned as his grip on my hand slackened and went limp. I touched his cheeks and neck and chest, and my gaze lingering fearfully on the vicious wound in his arm, on the thick, clear liquid from Rickon's fight mixing with Will's blood. And Marcus came back and put his hand on my arm. Come on, let's get into the car. So they got into the car, and Sabina said, Sabina knows about Rickon. She says, I know him. No one has survived a bite from Rickon. I'm sorry. Rickon's venom takes about a week to kill. We have that long to save the Guardian. And Marcus she's like, she knows what she has to do. She's like, fuck this. I'm going. I know what I need to do. I need to go save him. Fuck you guys if you're not going to help me. And Marcus is like, what's going on? And nothing, he says, nothing, I'll just go. And Marcus blinked and exchanged glances with Ava. Why? We need you here. No, you don't. I snarled back. I'm going to do something about this. Give me your keys. To your car? Yes. Give them to me before I take them from you. And then Marcus is like, I don't know where you're going, but please, for the love of God, don't scratch my car. And after one ring on the other end of the line, a slightly surprised voice answered, that better be a booty call. I love Kaden. Kaden, where are you? So it is a booty call. Kaden, I shouted, half sobbing. I took a deep breath to calm myself. This is serious. Where are you? My apartment in Troy, and what's the address? So she gets there, and I lifted my arm and Will a single Kopesh sword in my hand. Angel fire blaze, lighting up his surprised face, and my power spiraled around me, lifting my tangled hair and the shredded folds of my dress. He stared at me, fearing for what might come next. You don't ever need to raise your sword at me. And then she says, Will is dying. I said, did you speak the truth when you said you would know a Gregory? And he says, yeah. And Kaden says, yes. And I swallowed hard, shakingly. This is how it ends. You don't have to take me to the Gregory. I don't care what it takes. I'll do anything. You have to help me save him. And that's how it ends. And I loved when books end on a cliffhanger like this, because it's like, oh my god, I need to read the next one. I need to read it. So I'm curious what you guys thought about this. What you thought about the climax, what you thought about the writing, what you thought about the little bits of inconsistencies in here that I noticed, which was again about the Reapers going about when Samuel said the Reapers are going to I don't need Will's soul, and about Bastian's character. And what did you think about Kaden killing Bastian? That was a bad thing, and that was something that needed to happen a while ago. He's been planning this for a while. So remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and also please donate to my Patreon so that way I can make you more amazing videos. And I will see you guys in the next Book Nerdigans in the next video, which is the final book in this series, Shadows in the Silence. And until next time, bye!